Hey guys, it's Matt with Titan Terrain Studio. I'm also joined here by CJ. He is currently having his mic muted because he's got some work going on his fridge, which is kind of loud. So until they are done with that shortly, CJ will just be kind of silent picture mode right there. We are going to be working on some miniatures today. So looks like our comment tracker is working. That is good. So I am going to go ahead and get started. So here's what I'm working on today. I'm going to go top down here for a second, kind of show you off exactly what we're working with. That is a little bright, so I'm going to kill one of these lights. All right, there we go. That's a little better. All right, so I'm working on some Imperial Guard at the moment. One of the things we're getting into, aside from terrain, since we've really started to speed things up here lately, is doing painting commissions. So this is our test model for the Imperial Guard project that I'm currently working on. Let's see if it'll focus. Will it focus? All right. Grab a random sheet of paper to see if we can get that to focus. There we go. So it's sort of your khaki Desert Storm paint scheme. Pretty neat. Now here's the fun part. I'm gonna do a slow pan around here at the whole desk. Look how much of it we are working on. That's also my Toha there. So we got 6 Ogren. We've got a bunch of commander guys right here. So I'm just gonna kind of come down here and take a look. Bunch of inquisitorial stuff, heavy weapons teams, and then we also have these, which are really cool. Put that back right there. These are by a website called Mad Robot that makes bits. These are their Predator style bits. Let me grab the sheet of paper again. So these bits are pretty cool. Let's see if that'll focus in. There we go. But as you can see, very cool looking stuff. Unfortunately, my friend Eric, who I'm painting all this for, lost the Arnold Schwarzenegger heads, which was sad because we were really looking forward to that. Let's see if we've got a couple more of them. He's counting as his veterans, Astra Militarum veterans. I think that's a squad. If you know for sure, tell me. But that's what he calls them, as his veterans. So you can also see that guy there. Come on, focus. Yeah, I'm gonna fix my settings. Let me fix my settings real quick. So we're gonna start preferences, general. Is it gonna let me fix my settings? It will probably not let me fix my settings while I'm broadcasting. All right, I'll just have to go in and fix that later. Yeah. Okay, so moving on though. I'm also going to be working on these guys. These are actually some tanks I had done for Eric at one point already. This was a rush job he had me do one night before an Apocalypse game. He was like, Matt, I need these now. I was like, oh geez. So what we're doing though is that I'm going to be the guys on the back here. We hadn't actually come up with the paint scheme for this yet, so I'm going to be altering them to make them blend in with the rest of the crew. And I'm also going to be lightening these treads. The treads ended up being too dirty, and I got some new metal Vallejo paints to work on. Also, while I'm showing off some models, I'm going to show off another commission that's coming to a close pretty quickly. A 2,000 point Tyranid army. This is still work in production for this one. And this one is that whole focusing problem. Oh, there we go. But the theme behind these are the Magmanids. They're a volcanic breed of Tyranid. They've got a lot of highlights on their carapace. It basically starts from a cavalry brown, and I use Vallejo paints. Cavalry brown to carmine red with an airbrush, and then goes to hot orange dry brushing with sun yellow dry brushing on top. You end up with this neat carapace. And then it has a middle stone for the guns and all the other bits here. We've also got another one sitting right here, one of the Hive Tyrants that I'm working on. These I'm pretty proud of. There are 3 of them in the Army. One of them's done, this one's in the process, and another one has its base coats down. But the wings on these look amazing. Everyone keeps telling me they remind them of like red dragons in a way. Let's see here. We've got 2 viewers so far, so thank you for joining us. And yeah, that's some fun stuff. We'll actually be doing some photography work on the Tyranids here in the next few weeks, and also on the Imperial Guard. For the Imperial Guard, I also have this has not started painting, but I have a Titan, or no, an Imperial Knight. Well, technically, I guess a Knight is a Titan. But I've already done all the assembly work on this guy, and I've done the base. So I did the base in sort of this ruined, busted up barricade kind of thing. So it's like he's been, just tromping through the trenches. I still have to go through and kind of clean off some of the flash on this guy and then pose these and glue them in permanently. And, that'll look pretty cool. This is also going with the Imperial Guard project. We also have a Bane blade, but that's in the studio. I'm not going to go out there for right now. So CJ, how close are you to being able to talk? A little. Okay, he's getting there. All right. So, how is everybody tonight? I'm going to go ahead and start in on these. I'm going to update these suckers. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the treads on all these highlighted. I'm just mostly hanging out. That's what these Tuesday night shows are going to be about. They're going to be a mixture of working on client projects, and they're going to be a mixture of working on my personal stuff. The personal stuff will come when the client stuff is all cut up. It has been a crazy, crazy year for that kind of stuff. I got my little paint station set up here. We have sound coming from CJ.
Can you hear me, or do you hear the vacuum in the background?
You sound like a Charlie Brown teacher.
That's the vacuum.
Okay. Well, we'll check back with CJ here in a little bit. All right, so I used gunmetal gray originally for these treads. And then I did, now this is the only thing. 90% of the paints on this desk are Vallejo, but Citadel shades are about the only Citadel paint that I buy on a regular basis, and spill on myself on a regular basis, I might add. I've killed Newland oil twice in the last year, just, sitting there going dip, dip, ah! So that's why some of my shades, I've actually gotten into the habit of doing this now. I take a piece of hardboard so that they're heavier. So, all right. So things that are going on right now. I'm in the process of getting a lot of our terrain projects caught up so that we can then start accepting commissions on painting. Painting is going to be, I'd say, by the end of the month. I want to have our full portfolio of our IG first, on top of some other side projects I've been doing.
Okay.
That sounds better, doesn't it?
So much better.
What are you working on, sir?
I have some Malifaux stuff that's still sitting around that I got for helping out with Feast of Lakes last year, that I'm just putting together. I think it's a promo that came in one of my boxes, and then Monks of Low River.
I have to put together a ton of Malifaux stuff too. I've got the Flashcraft games set that I have yet to have time to really get to. I've also got Neverborn, and I have Bayou Gremlins, yes. Then my old first edition Resurrectionists are sitting up there. I'll probably paint them at some point on one of these shows.
Yeah, I'm liking the new plastic because I'm not a painter. And so I hate working with the metal minis, which is hard because I love Affinity too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. So what I'm doing here is I'm highlighting with oily steel. just to kind of brighten up these treads a little bit. They're a little too dark for my taste. A little dry brushing with the oily steel. Not much. Keep it subtle. And like I said, these hangouts are going to be very casual. We are mostly just here to work on some stuff. Sometimes it'll it's going to mostly be whatever I feel like working on at the time. But if I've got a bit of a rush with a client, then I will probably be working on those.
Definitely.
So what is new with you, CJ? Tell me what's been going on.
Quite a lot. So Creator Hobbies kind of went silent for a year. Was trying to juggle a lot of things. We lost one of the co-founders. Tried to move forward on my own, and it was really difficult to do that and still have a day job. So it kind of went on the back burner until I could get to a position with my day job that I can kind of get back to it. And so I'm dipping back into the waters, getting the furniture put together again. And then on the Weekend Warrior front, basically just been working on getting the studio together. I now have bought a house, and we've got an entire floor downstairs that you guys, if you tune into my channel ever, should start seeing a lot of stuff on that. We're going to do everything gaming down there. I'm going to get another PC and put it down there, and that's where I'm going to do my sit and paint kind of things too. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
I understand about things having to go on the back burner. This year's been a bit rough for me as well. I've had a lot of personal family problems and a multitude of personal problems crop up in my life as well. That's all finally over and done with, though, and
yes.
I don't have to rely on a day job, which is awesome. So nice working for yourself.
It was for a bit.
What's that?
It was for a bit. I'm actually looking at, there's discussions with my dad that if he retires, he's going to take over manufacturing for me so I can handle the business side of stuff again. But we're in the early steps of that. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
He builds furniture as well?
He is a master carpenter. He's been building furniture since, God, early 90s at least. Probably even longer than that, because my grandfather used to be a carpenter as well, and I think he used to help my grandpa out when they were building furniture. I know he helped them build their house. They built their house all from scratch, the one that my grandparents lived in. So.
All right, let's take a look at these and see if there's a difference. The one on the right is the one that I highlighted. One on the left is the one that I did not highlight. So there is a little bit of a noticeable difference, I think.
A little bit there, yeah.
I'm gonna click on myself to make it focus on me. Let everyone else come here. A little bit of a. When I say the one on my, it's on my right. So let's take a look. See. Yeah, a little bit of a difference. Let me see here. I think we could use with a little bit more of a brighter color. I don't know. Silver probably is not the way to go. No, that's a little too bright. What I'll do is I'll do another highlight of the oily steel, a little harder.
So what's gotten you to be a big fan of Vallejo? Why are they your go-to?
Dropper bottles. Dropper bottles for airbrushing. Ever since I started airbrushing, I cannot go back. It is hand coating everything is so time consuming, and dropper bottles save my soul so much.
Nice.
Because I've had several clients, including my friend Stefan, who you will probably see on our because we're doing Saturday game days here. We actually have a game club that is operated out of the studio locally here in Utah. So if you are a local here in Utah, in the Provo, Utah Valley area, feel free to shoot me a message if you want to come hang out with us on Saturdays and play games. He has his guys all based in Storm Vermin Fur, I think it's the Citadel color. It's sort of a dark drab gray for all his Imperial Guardsmen. And we tried airbrushing with those using some of these little fill pipettes. You know what I'm talking about? I'm wondering if I have any around my desk here. I do not have any around my desk at the moment. I usually do. But you just lose so much paint doing it that way. and there's no other simple way to get the paint out of the Citadel pots to an airbrush. It's just a loss of paint. So really, it's just a preference of I don't want to waste, you know, when I'm doing this stuff. Oh, look at that. That broke. I'll have to fix that later. It's these little this area broke right here. See?
Oh.
Yeah, those things break all the time on these models.
Yeah, I think my brother had some of those that he had converted into something for his Chaos Space Marines. And they're falling apart all the time.
I got a Stompa over the weekend.
Really?
Oh, good Lord, that thing's powerful. I've been playing my orcs a little bit for this escalation league that we've been doing. I actually have a battle report to field. I have 2 battle reports. One is our 750 point level from about 2 months back. In which I don't want to ruin it for everybody, but I feel bad for Colin. That was my friend that I played in the escalation match. But then the match against Eric, who is currently our leading champion for the league, and more than likely is going to take the league, in my opinion, because he runs a super powerful, broken Astra Militarum Imperial Guard Pask list. It involves, I mean, you know, these are his wyverns. Oh, wyverns! I hate wyverns so much after that game. You know why wyverns are powerful?
I do not. I have not played a 40K game since 7th edition dropped.
The new barrage rules, it flips the barrage blast template back and forth on top of where it's at. So if it's like, let's say it's there, let's say it's like right here, it would flip and it would land right next to it, but go around it. And the problem is that wyverns apparently have a ridiculous amount of shots with barrage weaponry. So they have something like 5 barrage shots each. I can't remember the exact number. If somebody knows, you know, tell me below. But he runs. I'm hearing myself over on your end.
Are you?
Yeah, I think so.
Let me see if I can turn that volume down just a touch. Let's see here. I'm using earbuds. I'm also hard of hearing, so.
But yeah, that was a pretty horrid match. Not really because of the list. My list was really fairly well. What I've been running is a mech list with chaos team.
Really?
Yeah, I run a friend of mine coined the terminology for my list. He calls them the corks.
The corks.
Because I run corn orcs. Well, the background behind my orcs is that they are tainted by corn.
Okay.
They are corrupted, and they're called the Hellboy. I know it was cheesy. That's what I said.
It works. It totally works.
Yeah, but the Redskins. So, for years I wanted to like convert them all to have like cut off horns and little right hand of doom power fists. If you do not know what we're talking about, go watch Hellboy on Netflix. The comics are awesome. I'm a big fan. But basically, this list it's a mech list. So no war bosses, no WOG, no close combat guys whatsoever. Instead, you have a weird boy that spams demons every turn. Now, I tried running this with 2 weird boys to see if I could get like the overkill spamming 2 units a turn. The problem is unless you roll a whole bunch of warp charges, that guarantee of getting those units is very low. And yes, that means that I roll a ton of psychic dice, and I do peril quite a bit with this particular build. But that's why the weird boy just hangs out on his own in the terrain. Now, I've had some people go like, that's not a very strong build, until they find out that the weird boy only has 70 points. So even if he perils and then immediately dies the first time, you're paying 70 points for a full 10-man squad of, bloodletters.
Okay.
Bloodletters have weapon skill 5. They're only strength 4, toughness 3. They have, I believe, a 5-up with a 6-up emblem.
Okay.
The key thing is they have Furious Charge. And they have AP3 Hellblades. So they're what I call a glass cannon.
Yes.
They're really easy to kill, but if they hit you in a charge, you're in trouble. I've hit someone with them in a pincer motion, like with just a couple orc boys to keep them from overwatching the demons.
Yeah.
And they ripped the unit apart. They didn't do very well after that. Just kind of mediocre after that, but that initial first charge was ridiculously powerful. I've been getting into a lot more 40K with this Escalation League. We actually have a big tournament coming up, and I played a 3,000 point game of with a friend of mine on Saturday when I got the Stompa. But I'll tell you about that in a minute. Let me tell you about what the list is composed of while I'm getting all this painted up. The list is led by a KFF mech. The KFF mech will notoriously ride in whatever vehicle is available, along with a unit. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the Stompa because he gives a 5-up emblem to whatever vehicle he's in, and it just makes sense to put him in there. But then I have a shock attack gun mech. I have 15 Ludas. I have
Chopper. He was in here.
That's my dog. Sorry.
He was already in here. Oh my God! Jesus Christ! Really?
Apparently, we about Ludas just made the dog cry. Right?
Yeah, we got the guy working, and he keeps coming in and out. And my dog is a big baby. He freaks out whenever anybody comes in and out of the house.
I'm just painting some stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I do believe this oily steel is helping lighten the treads enough. I don't want them to be too bright, but I want them to be bright enough to where you can tell the difference between the treads and the actual chassis.
Which is an important distinction.
Yeah, I mean, I made them. The problem is they came out a little too dirty. It was a rush job, like in a day. So I painted them up pretty good. I'm hearing a lot of.
Yeah, just 1 second.
Painted these up in a day as a bit of a rush job, and just want them to look a little less. See, like even from there, you can now see the treads a lot better than before because they were really dirty before. At least now the edges are raised. You can still see some dirt and grime in them, but they're a little less less harsh now. So done with that. Let's see. We have 4 viewers at present. If anybody's out there, say hi. Let me see if the comment tracker is working. I'm going to open up the link to the YouTube because we all know how Hangouts like to not work sometimes. Give me 1 second. Pause that video. Do we have any comments? Ah, hey, okay, we do have comments. Greenleaf Terrain, hi. Chris McGee, Mr. McGee, I remember Mr. McGee. So, true story, Mr. McGee and me decided to, 2 years ago, almost about a month ago to the day, we decided to do this crazy thing where we did a cross-country road trip for me to go fill out my trial at Blue Table. Chris remembers this.
Okay.
Oh God, that takes me back to the. we played a lot of like tabletop games together, and we drove cross country, and about when we got to Kansas, is when it all kind of fell apart, and we got hit by a snowstorm. I don't know if you've ever driven through Kansas or not.
Not when the snowstorm.
Well, they shut down the interstates.
That's not cool.
It was bad. We tried to go 100 miles. We tracked it. It took us 3.5 hours to go 100 miles. We finally just had to hang it up.
Oh wow.
We ended up getting a hotel for a few hours. I didn't sleep at all because I'm sitting there going, "Oh crap, I've got to be there on Monday." You know, we left on like, what was it, like Friday evening or Friday morning or something like that. I can't remember which day it was exactly. But we left then, and then next morning I believe Chris remembers this. Mr. McGee, yes. He says, I'm the only person who ever calls him Mr. McGee. Apparently, they built a comment tracker into the YouTube page. So we'll be using that instead of the Google Hangout box. So, no, I'm going to continue this story now. Because now, this has sparked my memory quite hard. So we end up getting up the next morning. Chris got some good sleep. I did not. I was stressed. So I end up catching naps in the car occasionally. And then the GPSs fail us. And I find a big bump. We hit a big bump, and I wake up, and I look out the window. We're not on the interstate. And as far as the eye can see is cornfields.
Sounds about right.
I asked Chris, where are we? And he responds, I don't know. Do you remember this, Chris? We got lost in the cornfields of Kansas on the way for me to go, try out to work at Blue Table Painting down in Spanish Fork. That was great. Let's see. So we've also got Xavier Bordeaux. Yes. Xavier Bordeaux. He has joined us. But yeah, that was fun. Chris also, we got introduced to Lords of Waterdeep, the tabletop game.
That's a great game.
Yeah, Gary Taylor up at Blackfire Games, a really good friend of mine, really awesome. Gary and me have been talking a lot about our setup for this painting stuff. He's actually going to be supplying, taking all the orders for the miniatures side of that, because that's one of the things I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be ordering miniatures. I will paint them, but I will not be ordering them. So people will have to supply the miniatures either through Blackfire Games, or they will have to send me, their own stuff. Oh no! This is the only thing I don't like about Vallejo bottles. The topper or the dropper came out. There we go. Got it off. That little part popped off. So let's get that off and then wipe off. So let's see the progress, CJ. What have you got so far?
All right. So first one. I don't have a sheet of paper, do I? All right. So that is the first one we got. I think this was the promo model that came in one of my guild boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one I'm working on right now is the first monk. So, not too bad.
Nice.
Yep.
And Chris did also mention just now that his snoring also kept me awake. And I didn't want to throw you under the bus there, sir. But I think the exact words I used is they felt like I was trying to take a nap in the cavern of Smog. And we definitely should do a hangout sometime, Chris. I'm wanting to get back into like role playing games, and it's hard to get schedules going around here. So I might actually look into doing an online one, which we might run through Titan and then let you guys watch. Because I've seen like the YouTube RPG Brigade do that, and I always wanted to try it and never had time. That could be fun. Xavier, you're from France. Like my videos, great stuff. Thank you. We always enjoy getting compliments from people. It's kind of really nice to see people appreciate our work. So let's see. Greenleaf Train. Oh, he's saying use a brush. Apparently, I when I talk, I can't concentrate as much. It's one of those things about the Hangout occasionally. Let's see, do we still have CJ on there? Yeah, I was just
I'm still here.
okay. So the mech list that I was going on about, one of the things that I actually decided is it's not a bound list, it's unbound. Are you familiar with that, CJ?
Somewhat. So Unbound allows you to basically have a little bit more variety. Bound means you kind of condense it down to one codex. Is that correct?
Well, what it is bound lists are Warforged or whatever the heck they're calling it these days. I can't remember. Those are the ones where you have to go by a force organization. Whatever type of formation it is, it doesn't matter. You know, every codex at this point is starting to come out with their own. Unbound is pretty much take whatever you want. So what I did is I designed an unbound orc list that takes a tremendous amount of heavy support. And the upside of this is that mech guns, which are the old grot, artillery that's been kind of redone a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Those particular ones, if you're running a bound list, then they can run units of 1 to 5. But heavy support, you can only take 3 heavy supports choices.
Okay.
In an unbound list, I run 4 mech guns, and I run them all as individual units because there's no limitation to how many separate units I can have. So, good luck sending your guys after 35-point single gun sitting on that hill, that hill, that hill, or that hill. People still go after them, but it's just,
but you're gonna spread your forces a little thin.
exactly. And they're only 35 points, but the grots are annoying. The grots are very annoying. And having multiple cannons on the field does make it to where I can take shots at people. I actually want to convert up some additional mech guns because the one thing that I noticed in the Orc Codex, which I've only really heavily started playing recently, it's been out since July, but the one thing I really noticed was the tractor cannon is one of the really useful little cheap weapons. That one, if it hits a flyer and it's got Skyfire, then it will cause them to suffer an immobilized result.
Really?
Yeah. They're going straight. Really useful, especially if you're going up against people with like the gunships that can drop troops off.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did kind of find out how incredibly powerful the Stompa was on Saturday. That was pretty interesting.
So how did that play out?
I felt bad. I kind of kicked the crap out of my friend Chase really horribly. He's new to 40K. We got a trade in for a Black Templar's army. And I then gave it to him because he's doing a bunch of laser cut stuff for us.
Oh, cool.
We're also in the process of getting that going. I just hired a designer. He's going to be working on our first set, which is first we're going to be putting out some templates too. Cool. Just basic, 40K templates, Infinity sets, stuff like that. I'm going to be getting back into Infinity as well. So just base coats at the moment, as you can see there. All right, let's see any more comments. Only 3 people watching at the moment, but that's okay.
Watch the comments too.
What's that?
I'm gonna take a peek here and make sure I'm looking at the comments too.
Mm-hmm.
That way I can catch them as they come up. Let's see. Down there. Let's go to YouTube.
I've not been playing 40K, right?
No, not really. Yeah, just last year, I did so much with, Simon from Hawk War Games and Carlos and Gutierrez with Infinity. Those were kind of my bread and butter. And then I also had some of my guys with the Weekend Warriors that were really big on Malifaux.
Who was that with Infinity?
Carlos.
Oh, Carlos, like the guy who runs the company.
Yeah, him and the guy I met the year before that actually writes the books.
Oh, nice.
Gutierrez.
I
always butcher his name.
in contact with them because the 3 sets we're wanting to produce 3 lines initially with Titan laser cut, which is going to be, you know, they're all going to be under the Titan Studio name, you know, but the laser cut division is an Infinity set. We want to work on something for Infinity that'll be pretty interesting. We're still kind of figuring it out though, because we're doing conceptual work right now. But I'll need to talk to them and get their input on it. Another thing we're working with is we want to start doing Dark Age. I actually need to get a hold of some of that stuff. Tim over at Cool Mini or Not, I talked with him a while back about doing some stuff for them. And the last one we're going to do is just going to be sort of a general sci-fi set that can be used with any game. You know, we say general sci-fi. You know, general sci-fi.
Well, cool. That's going to be really interesting. I got to stay tuned on that.
I am not held responsible if people decide to cover the general sci-fi laser cut terrain at Skulls and play 40K on it. That is not my fault. You know, this is general sci-fi terrain. Well, you could play Starship Troopers by Mongoose Games. It has been out of print for some time, but you could do that. Oh, hold on. I just remembered something I have that it might be worth walking out to the studio to get to show you guys. Let me put some paint on this real quick so I don't waste.
There are comments. Okay.
But one of my other commissions, because the reason I mentioned Starship Troopers by Mongoose Games, because one of my clients locally, he is starting a Tyranid army.
Okay.
But he doesn't like the Tyranid warriors. So instead, he purchased a bunch of the old Starship Trooper warriors.
Really?
You know, the big, big scythe things with the face, everything from the movie and the comics and all that. I think it was a comic, or was it a book? It was a book first, I think.
It was a book first, yeah.
All right. Well, let me run out and get that, because we got a Hierophant in the house. 1 second.
So what are you guys all working on tonight? Let's see if we can get a few more viewers here. I'm going to share this on my channels.
Okay. Let me move these out of the way for a moment. There's a little spot. Keep in mind that this is not assembled by us. This was given to us this way. I've yet to start the project, so it's still very rough looking. Ta-da! One Tyranid Hierophant. I'm going to be going through and cleaning this up quite a bit, but you know, just to show scale, if no one's ever actually seen scale of how big one of these. This is about the size of a Rhino or a Chimera, and this is the Hierophant.
It's a big model.
Now, the only thing I do not like thus far about the Hierophant, these are incredibly spindly. You have got to do something where you put like a support piece, like right here or something. That is the only way that short of like reinforcing them and having them dug into the ground, these things, like if you see me, I'm holding it up at the moment, but if I try to let it stand on its own 2 feet, it starts to bend the resin right here. And I'm already going to have to like go through here and boil it and get it to bend back to normal. And working with resin's a bit of a pain. Now, I mean, most of the prep work that's going to be done on this is pretty much just cleaning. I mean, that's all it's really going to be. And it's not even a whole lot of major cleaning. It's just little bits of flash. And then this guy's going to get painted up in the Starship Troopers, Bug Hive, you know, mind paint scheme, whatever the word, you know, the the tiger stripes that they did in the movie. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
They do the tiger stripes. Let's see. Oh, we got a couple more people. Looks like that would be David Groves. I know David. I have a story to tell about David too. All my friends seem to be hanging out with us at the moment. And then Jeremy. Jeremy is grading assignments. His hobby life isn't going to pick up till the middle of next month when school gets out. Let's see. Then Chris is adding mods to Skyrim. Orcs are the best. We are the meanest, greenest, choppiest out there. I agree. Yeah, I agree happily with that. Titan Terrain Studio fully endorses an Orc WOG. Which one? Probably all of them.
Could you imagine them all coming together at the same time?
Oh,
Green Tide.
Green Tide. That would be great. I'm going to put together a Orc terrain set over the summer at some point.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I'm currently still working up some terrain pieces for the Middenheim board to finish that off, and then the Bearded Dragon game store out of New Jersey. Those two are my priorities at the moment, and then juggling that and getting some of this painting work. I've only been doing this. I only quit the comic shop technically 2 weeks ago. Well, not 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks. So, like, last week was just a lot of getting some stuff done that needed to get done. The non-fun stuff, accounting, all that stuff. Things that have to get done at some point that we don't always think about too much.
Have a good one, Xavier.
What's that?
Looks like Xavier's got to go here, so wishing him a good night.
I did not catch any of that.
Looks like Xavier is saying he's signing off, so I was wishing him a good night.
Oh, okay.
So.
All right. Well, have a good night, Xavier. Let's see here. All right. So, David Groves. I will tell you a story about how me and David met. And I actually did a project for David. This was like before I was ever doing this professionally too. When I was just working with like Amazing Wonders, which anyone who has watched me for long enough has heard me talk about Amazing Wonders.
Once or twice.
Still to this day, it went out before its time. I feel like that store had a lot more to give. It just that's the nature of it sometimes.
Yeah.
But I've done an entire 2-player starter set for War Machine for David at one point. That was really fun. I was actually finishing it up just as I was moving out to Utah. But we ended up playing this game at a game competition in Kentucky, and it was called Quags, which I don't know if anybody's heard about that, but Quags stands for Quick Ass Gaming System. Just a note.
Excuse me for 1 second.
Just a note, these hangouts are very casual. So yes, there may occasionally be a curse word. We're not going to be talking about inappropriate things, but there may be an occasional curse word thrown out there. Just saying. But we were playing Frat Boys Save the World from Cthulhu, which was kind of an interesting demo. And I basically ended up playing a variant of John Belushi called, what was it? Brutus the Beast Burton. It was hilarious. And there was a Viking helmet involved and lots of beer involved in the game. Not out of the game. We were at a gaming convention. Though, beer has been involved in my games in the past. I am personally, looking forward to Beer Hammer, which will be a thing at some point. But yeah, that was fun times. So Jeremy, you said that your hobby life isn't going to pick up till the middle of next month when school lets out. What kind of things are you currently looking forward to getting back into with the hobby life? Tell us all. While you comment on that, I will. Let's see. something to talk about. Could go on about RPGs. Could go on about more stuff we're doing with Titan. Oh, here's something that's kind of cool. Who here has seen the new Bat in the Sun? Bat in the Sun is a bunch of people who do verses of like superheroes, any sort of pop culture icon. They have them duke it off in a live action fight. They're based out of like Los Angeles or Hollywood or something like that. They did Ryu from Street Fighter versus the Green Ranger from Power Rangers with the actual Jason David Frank, and I must say, after watching it, I was rather blown away at how it turned out.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty good.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Especially like how they had him teleport in, not in the Ranger suit.
Yeah.
They had him like teleport in a big green flash, and he had like the green evil glowing eyes. It's like, nope, this is not a good guy. Not a good guy at all. Green Ranger is always my favorite.
Yeah, I've met Jason David Frank. He's a really, really awesome guy.
Let's see. Jerby has his new Eldar to work on. Got a color scheme for his Cricks. His Warzone army to set up so we can start running demos in Vegas. You know what? I'm going to have to come down there for a visit eventually. I just have to get things stabilized up here, and then I will be trying to get a motorcycle here in the next few months. If I get a motorcycle, I'll come down to Vegas and visit, and we'll have to get some demo games in to put up on the channel.
Yeah, LVO is always a good one to go to.
What's that?
LVO is always a great one to go to.
Yeah, that one's on my radar. I haven't really been able to do conventions due to financial needs.
Yeah.
But tax time more or less killed all that.
Nice.
You remember I had LASIK last year? Yeah, LASIK is expensive. But necessary. No more glasses. Okay. So I've almost got all the base coating on this done. The only problem is so this is one of the things I've come to a conclusion about how we're going to be doing our sort of setup for the painting commissions. Whenever something comes to us pre-assembled, it's going to actually make it more expensive for us to do, because not only do we have to go in and try and get like for instance, this heavy weapons team right here. This is not a terribly difficult model to paint, but if someone sends it to you assembled, I have a minimum quality that models have to reach, which means all the flash, all the mold lines removed, all that stuff. It makes it so much harder if this is assembled like this to get in there and remove everything. I mean, for example, if you look, I don't know if you'll be able to see it very well because of the focus, but basically on this internal part right here, this side of the, okay, you see that right in between the gun tripod? There's a line running down the side. It's a mold line that is impossible for me to get to.
Okay.
So, because of that, it makes it very difficult for us to, prep these to make them look really good. Because, nothing ruins a good paint job more than a ton of mold lines.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And like same thing with this situation with this guy here. What I would actually do is if I were going to assemble and paint one of these guys, I would not glue the guy on until after he was painted. Because then you put him on the cork with, the little, with his feet glued to the little sticks. And then that way you're able to get him painted. Whereas right now it's taking me a while to base coat because I'm trying not to hit all the stuff around. Admittedly, I am not painting very fast right now because it's sort of casual hangout. So you said that you had started talking with Carlos from Infinity?
Yes. So a couple of the guys out here have done a really good job bringing Infinity focus in the Denver area, and I am going to basically shout them out. It's, as he's known on the interwebs, Enduro Joe, Dexter from Shark Mounted Lasers, and Rob Brock. They've all done a very, very great job bringing the game out here, and they've brought Infinity out here 2 years in a row to Feast of Blades.
Nice.
Yeah, so been able to hang out with those guys, learn a little bit about what they're up to, stayed in touch with them, keep an eye out for other things that are coming down the pipeline. Really, really cool guys, and that game system is definitely picking up. It's a really interesting game. I really, really do enjoy the mechanics of it.
I do have all my Toha sitting right here on the desk. I haven't been able to touch them and play them because, well, you know, when I stopped living in Spanish Fork, moved up here to Provo, just didn't have anyone else to play. And that was sad. I'm actually, now that we're doing Saturday gaming, I have a bunch of stand-in models. Where are they at? They're a bunch of the Reaper Bones from the Kickstarter, the first Kickstarter.
Okay.
They're a bunch of the Reaper Bones Kickstarter miniatures that are a bunch of the Mercs that I'm going to use as stand-ins for somebody to try the game out with, basically. Because I only have Toha. I don't have a second faction at the moment, and I don't have time to really put together and paint a second faction.
Yeah.
But I'm going to use that to demo it to people in our local little game club and over at our local stores. And then we do have like a little bit of an Infinity scene up north at Blackfire Games. But the problem is that like when I was working at the comic shop, I was like, we couldn't get it in because of the port closure. Yeah, all of Alliance was completely out there for a few months. We just couldn't get it. And it was sad because I was sitting there going, I was planning this huge Infinity push. And I was going to start pushing it, demoing it, and just, you know, trying to get it going in the area so that we could get a good scene going in the lower Utah Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, just if you can't even get the starter boxes in, it was horrible. And we knew what it was. We knew why it was happening. There was nothing that anybody could have done about it. You know, it wasn't Corvus Belli's fault. It wasn't Alliance's fault. It wasn't the game store's fault. It was nobody's fault, honestly. It was just, you know, the port closures that they had on the West Coast.
Yep.
So, thankfully, now that's all over and done with. And hopefully we'll be able to get some Infinity going around here.
Yeah, that'd be really, really cool.
Still have that whole Plascraft set, which I am going to repaint at some point. I'm not terribly happy with how that paint job came out. That was like one of my second projects I had done with an airbrush, and I experimented a lot, and unfortunately, we're human. Sometimes things don't work out as they planned.
Yeah. Do you use Badger airbrushes?
Yes, I believe the one I've got is a Patriot. It's the one that has the bigger spray. It's a siphon fed, not gravity fed.
Okay, yeah.
You know, because working with terrain, you have to be able to push a lot of paint through those things.
Yeah, definitely. Plus, I mean, you're probably having to do it at odd angles, so the gravity feed is probably not going to be that forgiving if you tip over too far.
Oh, yeah, that too. That is not a fun thing right there. Yeah, gravity feed is going to be something I'll be getting for the miniature painting.
Definitely.
Let's see. Jeremy has Spartan and Warlord Games stuff to work on, so that's always nice. Warlord Games makes bolt action. That's on my radar. Something I do want to get into more. And give me a couple months to get everything situated where we want it, and I'll start being able to get into some of those other games.
Yeah, I'm starting to kind of narrow down my focus on what I'm going to play, because I'm at the point now where it's like I want everything, and not everything's being played out here. So a little bit of restraint.
I hate saying this, and it makes me sad. All of my Eldorado stuff is sitting up there, and I don't know if you heard about this, but Anima Tactics got discontinued.
Did it? Wow. That was one of the ones I kind of wanted to try out.
Be glad you didn't. I was always sort of on the fence about trying it and getting into it. And Cypher discontinued support for it. They just couldn't handle it. I mean, the problem is I think they only recently, and I did the Cypher Studios Eldorado Kickstarter because I was a free agent for them for a while. Okay. And I was pushing it hard in the Kentucky area before moving out here. And against my better judgment, I did do the Kickstarter, even though I was moving to Utah. So I dropped $100 on that. and it took them a while to get it out, but then they ran into problems getting their European backers. And the key problem I've always noticed with them is that they've been around for a very long time, but they don't have the support system that other companies like Privateer Press, Infinity, all that such. They don't get out there and they don't have the support system in place. Their releases have been sporadic. I don't know how much they've even released, but it's been so little that it's been unimpressive. I was even talking with the guys who were doing the Only Heldorado podcast for a while about being a guest on their show to talk about it last summer. And they only got about 2 or 3 episodes in before they were just like, guys, we've been doing these podcasts for months and we've literally seen no changes in anything in that entire time.
Yeah.
So I was like, I couldn't blame them when they just, stopped doing it. And, my stuff's just kind of sat on the shelf. I mean, they're neat looking models. I've got every faction starter box and enough for 2 whole factions for full companies. I've got both the regular rulebook and the expansion rulebook. Suddenly occurs to me that I don't have my soft cover one anymore. I think I let someone borrow it and then they never gave it back to me. Unfortunately, a thing.
Yeah, that's why you got to put tracking chips in your books when you lend them out.
Oh yeah, and the exploding. You have 30 seconds to comply order.
Yeah.
We have 5 watchers now. So let's see.
Yeah,
Chris,
go ahead.
Jeremy, and we have 2 mystery watchers because Xavier left. Who are our mystery watchers? Say hi in the comments.
Yeah, I put a quick post up on Creator Hobbies and Weekend Warriors to see if anybody catches those tonight.
Oh, nice. So what's been going on with the Weekend Warriors? Tell me.
So Weekend Warriors kind of got a little bit quiet for a minute there. Basically, Nathan, who has probably done the most work for us, I've got to give him hands down the most credit. He ended up having to get a job that just doesn't work with his schedule. So he hasn't been able to do much of the Malifaux production. Other guys, I think, just all pretty much got a little bit busy. And it also doesn't help that when we put Weekend Warriors together, that's out when the Creator Hobbies workshop was out in Watkins, which, for those of you who know anything about the Denver area, it's way past Denver International Airport, out on the plains. Well, I moved back right up against the foothills in Roxborough Park down in South Littleton. And so it's hard for those guys to get all the way down here to where I'm at, because it's like a 30, 45-minute drive down to here. So pretty much been building up the studio, but haven't found a lot of people to bring in to do stuff down here just because they can't afford to. Now, there's a few people that, if you're in the gaming community here in Denver, you might know them, and I'm still working out with some of these guys to get them in. But if we do, we'll see a lot more coverage on our channel that's more of the skirmish level games, and then like Warma Hordes and stuff. I'm not sure if we're going to do a lot of the 40K stuff because there's so much 40K and Warhammer Fantasy Battle already out there. And I've kind of been getting into the other game systems a lot the last year and a half. So,
which is understandable. They're good game systems.
Yep. The one that's really surprising to me that I've been enjoying are what I consider epic scale, like Drop Zone Commander and Flames of War, and then also the X-Wing ones. X-Wing and Armada I haven't played yet, but it looks really interesting.
I played Armada last night.
How was it?
Yeah, I got a call from a friend of mine after being in the studio Sunday night and Monday morning and getting like 4 hours of sleep with a sparring match with a friend of mine in between sword sparring. It's what I do to try and keep in shape these days.
Yeah.
And the big weight bench is behind me. No, a friend of mine invited me last night to a Star Wars party, I was sort of like, I got a lot of work to do. And he's like, free pizza. And, I have a copy of Armada. And I was like, sold. It's like, it is, May the 4th. So I was like, and then I, finished the night up playing a little Old Republic. If anybody plays Old Republic, I will be starting a guild on the Jedi Covenant server, Sith side. Send me a message if you want to join up. I'll put details on a future Hangout.
You mean the MMO?
Yes.
I might have to do that. I've got I've got the game. I just haven't played a lot of it lately because Diablo's been taking a lot of my attention away.
I won't talk about Blizzard. I can't stand them anymore. But we played Armada. It was really fun. The starter set is very geared towards the Imperials, which I was okay with because I love Empire. And it didn't help that the guy I was going against had very little war game experience. So I apologized afterwards and got him a drink. Because I kind of, wiped the rebel scum off the star map. Well, I did exactly what any Imperial, Moth would do. I sent all the, TIE fighters in, and they blasted everything, and they created a big bottleneck. And then I just parked my Star Destroyer and started firing it at all the capital ships. Then once I had wiped out all his rebel fighters, I took the capital ship in, into the fire area, made it difficult for him to get any side armor or back or side shields or back shields on me. Got him out of range, and then just harassed him with the rest of the fighters till I blew up one capital ship and then blew up the other.
All right, just 1 second here.
Oh, for those of you who like Star Trek, my friend Chris McGee runs a podcast called Trekosophy. It is about just pretty much everything Star Trek from all the different seasons. Chris, if you want to throw a link in the comments below for that, for anybody who likes Star Wars, go check that out. That's fun stuff. He's got a massively professional setup, I might add. I've seen his setup back home, and it is pretty nifty. And apparently David has gotten bored enough. He's decided to start a WOG in the comments. I feel sorry for all the people in the comments right now.
Hopefully I can move this fridge back. That's something.
So we now have a freezer again.
We have a freezer again. That is awesome.
Yep, we just wrapped up. So sorry for all the technical difficulties by keeping it on mute while he's cleaning it up and whatnot. So.
That is okay, sir. That is okay. Sounds like nails on a chalkboard over there.
What's that?
Sounds a bit like nails on a chalkboard right now.
Yeah, he's my roommate is just getting the fridge back into the area that we pulled it out from. So.
Yeah, I don't do roommates anymore. My last roommate ended up being a pretty unpleasant fellow, so I don't do it.
Throw them out. Yeah, Ty is actually really good. I have historically had one horrendous roommate after another. In fact, just about all of them, except for my buddy Stu, they were bad. But Ty's a former service member too. He was in the Marines, I was in the Army. And we've been doing pretty good here. We haven't really kicked each other's asses or anything yet, so it's been pretty good.
Well, that is awesome. Let's see here. All right, so what are your thoughts on all these things that are happening to Warhammer Fantasy? Because that bomb's going to be dropping in the next month or so, from what I understand.
So I have never been big into Warhammer Fantasy. I've heard about the end times. I don't understand what the hell's going on.
The short version is they released all these super expensive books called the End Times.
Okay.
Really popular and got people back into fantasy. Huzzah!
Mission accomplished.
The Glockkin one made me start Chaos Demons. I mean,
okay.
I don't start new armies, and I started Chaos Demons because I'm sitting there going, I can summon them with my orcs in 40k, and I can team them up with my Warriors of Chaos in fantasy. That's a total win.
Definitely.
So they do all this, and then End Times Archon, and I'd heard rumors about it, a month or two prior, but you always take them with a grain of salt and hope for the best.
Right.
Warhammer World has officially been destroyed.
What?
It's gone. Last couple pages of Archon. Boom. Nothing left. Chaos Gods won.
What?
You, me, and everybody else.
I'm sorry. I thought they got rid of Matt Ward.
Oh, I don't know whose idea this was, but shame. Shame on whoever's idea it was to destroy the Warhammer world. I understand that had a lot of fluff and a lot of background, and there was a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
You could have done so much else. You blew it all up. It's like damn you! Damn you all to hell! I feel like I should, be standing on a beach with, a big broken, Warrior of Chaos statue in front of me or something. But no, I feel like it was badly handled doing that. And, supposedly there's a lot of other rumors. From a story perspective, there are people that play for the story. There are people who play for the game and the tactics. And then there are people that just model. So
yeah,
it's not going to be a complete kill. But I think 9th edition, depending on how the rumors go, is it 9th edition that we're going into? 9th
8th or 9th at least.
9th, I believe, because I believe 8th is the one we were playing with.
Okay.
If they do some of the rumors, they're talking about switching it to like 6 factions. I know like Bretonia got destroyed. I think Bretonia got destroyed.
I like Bretonia. It was the Empire that I wasn't really a fan of.
One of them's going to be like a alliance of elves and men kind of thing or something like that. One of them's going to be like undead. One of them's going to be chaos, just as one big faction.
So did they just decide, hey, Hobbit and Lord of the Rings didn't really do it for us, so we're just going to roll it into fantasy?
Well, Horse Heresy is going to supposedly become a new game that they're going to start pushing directly. Like, it's been so successful with Forge World that the rumor is that they are going to do it with as the new focus. Fantasy, in theory, could go to direct only. I know Lord of the Rings is going to get pulled to direct only probably because it's the movies are all over at this point. So I'm not happy with the fluff handling of the end times. I will say that the rumors that bother me the most are they move to a complete skirmish game with less units.
That doesn't bode. That's not what I think of when it comes to fantasy. Fantasy is supposed to be epic armies on the movement trades.
I would have been completely for them doing a game. They just did this assassination game for the 40K assassins. It has the models for the assassins, but it has a separate game built in, so you can buy it and use it for both.
Right. Okay.
Awesome. I would love to see them do a skirmish version, kind of like the old Inquisitor for fantasy.
Yes.
Keep it in scale so that you can repurpose the models to use for fantasy or 40K, whatever. But to just, and this isn't all solid. This is rumors. But rumors have been so solid on this particular issue for a while that it bothers me. It makes me look at Games Workshop. I'm not going to say that I don't enjoy their games. I do. I really like their games. But they make these super bad decisions, in my opinion, that end up biting them in the long run. Yeah, they're the biggest company in the world. They've screwed up a lot. Remember when Finecast came out and everyone complained on their Facebook and then they deleted their Facebook?
Yep.
I was in the trenches, like, complaining with the Facebook people, saying, hey, this actually really is horrible. Because I bought a Finecast model being all positive, and it was the most god-awful modeling experience I think I ever had.
Bubbles and everything. Yeah.
Oh, no, the staff. I bought a Necron Cryptic was my first Finecast model. That was a pretty horrid experience.
Was it all warped?
No, cleaning the staff. It was almost impossible to clean it without breaking it.
Really? Okay.
It took me forever to get it cleaned because because I'm big on like getting mold lines off models.
Yeah, my issue with the first Finecast stuff was all of them had really bad air bubbles in it. So I spent more time filling bubbles than I did actually painting the model. It was difficult. I mean, it did get better. I will acknowledge that. It got much better.
And I do like that they've switched to plastic now.
Yeah.
Everything's being switched over. That is the wisest thing they've done in a while, so that's good on Games Workshop. Let's talk about some positives. Okay. 7th edition 40K has the most current army codexes in its history.
Yep.
I've owned the Orc Codex. One came out in 5th edition. I got in at the tail end of 4th. That's when I started playing 40K.
Okay.
And for me, I had heard, oh, that's the first Orc Codex that we've gotten in like 10 years.
And it was.
The truth of it. I mean, how long did Dark Eldar go? I mean, people are going to complain about Sisters, but that's just one of those ones. Sisters and Bretonia, the love childs of GW that they don't like to acknowledge. But every army has been upgraded to at least either this edition or only one edition old.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did they already now reprint the Eldar Codex within the last month or two?
Yeah, and then what really sucks, my friend Dan, he's hoping to get a refund. 2 days before it was announced, he bought an Imperial Knight Codex.
Really?
That one was kind of irritating because it's like Imperial Knights are let's see. Oh, that's just Chris plugging his podcast. So go check it out, Star Trek fans. Yeah, I think this is honestly, and this is just from the sake of, I'm going to relax for a second because I'm going on my rant. I think this is one of the best versions of 40K that has ever been available because you have all these options.
Mm-hmm.
You ignore all of the negatives that you see happening with Games Workshop at times. You have all these positives going towards the gameplay. If I want to, I can team up my orcs and necrons. Yes. And I can play a combo list and still summon demons with my orcs. And have 3 factions that I have all these models for, all in the same game. 5th edition, you couldn't do that.
Oh, no.
Anything from like 6 was the initial start of that, but 7th has really brought it to this new level of playing whatever the heck you want, really.
Well, and even from a business standpoint, because that's just the way I work, it's a smart decision because now you sell more models because you can use all of your models in the collection. It's actually a very good plan. It
is. It's an incredibly genius plan. So when I say that there are things about Games Workshop I don't like, that's not necessarily all of it. I really like a lot of things that they've done.
Well, I mean, if nothing else, they've paved the way for miniature games more than any other company.
Yeah. Now, I will say that Games Workshop, I feel that they've finally hit the price ceiling. It has gotten expensive enough. I have not, other than rule books, I have not spent money retail for Games Workshop product in years at this point.
That's actually probably another reason why I started going to these other games is because the price that I could pay for one entire army, I can buy the entire line for another game.
I remember there was a guy I knew at one point who was just, solely only about GW, and he would, argue that, you can't say that, like a Space Marine army. And I did a price comparison. For the price of a Space Marine army, which... let's face it, if you're going to really go for, let's say you go for 2,000 points. That is, on average, what you're going to need to play varied levels, I'd say. A 2,000-point army, and that's not including the fact that you're going to buy more stuff to try out new things later.
Right.
For the price of a 2,000-point army, rule books, and everything, you're spending about $1,000. Around 900, something like that.
Easy.
You could buy out the entire Crix faction for War Machine, like one of everything. Or, this was the one that kicked me. At the time, when I compared it, I could have bought out 3 whole lines for factions in Infinity. And I was sitting there going, yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money to spend on a game. Now, one of the upsides, it's a double-sided edged coin. I like that we have the fast releases with codexes, and they're all updated now. But what I don't like is they cut their release schedule for editions in half. 6th edition, I've got the hardcover. I played maybe a dozen games of it before 7th came out.
I think that might be accurate because it was before my brother moved to Idaho. That's what we were doing was, well, with him, he didn't have the funds to get an army, so we were doing a lot of proxies with bases, but we were testing out that stuff, and we probably only got about a dozen or 2 dozen games before 7th edition was released.
Yeah, and I mean, in my defense, you know, I did have a lot of things crop up that year. When 7th came out last summer, I was sort of like, wow, that's really fast.
Yeah.
It's a little different now because, you know, for me, it's a business expense, so it's not as big of a hit. But for the average random schmo who just plays it for fun, going from a 4-year was what it was before. 4 to 5 years is between editions.
Roughly 4 more.
Yeah. Now I will say that I think 7th is pretty balanced. I think it's good. I think it works well. I think that my worry is that they keep changing the editions just to have something to say. I have personally said that if they do ever get to the point where they come out with yearly editions, I'm out.
Definitely. Oh God, could you imagine?
I mean, I'll still have my armies. I'll still put them on display. I'll still possibly play with friends who want to play the older edition. But, you know, I'm also that way with Warhammer Fantasy right now. If they do all the changes that they are proposing, I personally do not look forward to a skirmish version of Warhammer Fantasy. I probably will not play it, and I will continue to play Warhammer 8th edition. Just because, you know, that's not Warhammer at that point. Did you? Oh, the other thing. This is kind of hilarious, and I love it. Mantic, makers of Kings of War, released a press release stating that they were going to come out with something like a book of army lists for people who don't use Kings of War armies to use in Kings of War for the new edition.
Really?
And they're in Nottingham, I think. I think they're in actually just very close by to Games Workshop.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like if GW is going to, Mantic just kind of swooped in there and they're like, hey guys, I know you're all really irritated about the possibility of your armies getting, defunct, Lizardmen. I hate. Oh yeah, the Lizardmen floated out of the universe.
No.
Yeah.
See, that's one of the. If I was to play fantasy, it'd be all 3 of the elves, Lizardmen, and Skaven.
You know what sucks? 2 months before this rumors all start flying like this, I know a guy who just bought like 3,000 points of Lizard, brand new.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting there going, our local area, our fantasy scene here is not strong. I mean, it's not. It's there. It's just not huge. It's not the game that everybody's wanting to get into. It varies from person to person. But to take a game and just say we're going to kill all these factions, or as someone termed it now, because this is like the 2nd or 3rd time this has happened with GW, they squatted Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah.
Because they did that to the Specialist games, and then they did this, whether they haven't done it yet, but we're going to know in the next couple of weeks whether they squatted Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
They squatted the setting, but the game could, as long as the game is still able to field Fantasy roughly the way it is, I'll keep playing.
Right on.
So we are coming up on almost 8 o'clock. Let's see how many people. Marcy Stratus. Hello. How are you? Let's see here. What else do we have anyone else commenting? Oh, and Chris left us to go play Fantasy Star.
I see that.
The good old game. I've gotten these guardsmen's khaki put on for the most part now, so that I can go through and get all this redone. For those of you who didn't catch our show earlier, I am currently touching up some models for a commission. And these are supposed to match these other ones right here. So this is the test model, sort of like a khaki Desert Storm kind of feel. And these particular models we had painted before we settled on the khaki look. So I'm just touching these guys up that were already on them to match that. All right. Well, guys, I think we're probably going to go ahead and call the show for the night. It's our first one, but it'll just depend on how many people we have coming in for the most part. CJ, do you think you will be able to join me on future shows?
Oh, definitely. I'm off by, well, I'm even home by 6 o'clock every weeknight, so I can definitely hop on every week. And I've been needing to get more models painted up and put together, so this will be a good chance for me to sit down and get that all done. So
the idea behind these shows is, I'll be honest with you, I doubt I will be working on terrain during these shows because the computer in the studio is prone to dropping the broadcast. And frankly, I finally got everything terrain related out of my house. I don't want to bring it back in. It stays out there. Out there. I have a couch now. I have a couch. First week off from the comic shop, I will admit it. I sat on this couch for at least a day, just relaxing and doing nothing.
yeah.
Because I needed, on a note on this, the last year or two has been very interesting. I'm now to the point where I'm doing this full time, and now that I'm doing this full time, I get days off. I get 1 day off a week to relax and do whatever the heck I want. And
Right.
you do not underestimate how important days off are.
Very much so.
Days off are extremely important if you're going to be doing this on a full-time kind of schedule.
Mhm.
So that's a good thing. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. We will be back next week. So CJ is going to start joining us on a regular basis. We'll have
Definitely.
other people hanging out with us. Maybe we can see if we can get some of the Weekend Warrior guys on here.
Yeah, I'll reach out to them, see if any of them can get on. So
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Take care.